Hello. So, I've been waiting to do this video for probably like 5 or 6 weeks now. Um, I have been a person that pays attention to Mercury Retrograde and the lessons that Mercury Retrograde brings to me as of the last several years. Prior to that, I was not really well versed in astrology, and I'm still learning about astrology every day. But, anyways, I thought I had mastered Mercury retrograde lessons and not doing certain things during retrograde and whatnot. And this last retrograde, which was retrograde in Gemini, I had told myself that it was going to be a great retrograde because usually retrogrades have like tough lessons in them. And I mean, Gemini is the twins and it's like two different sides. So I was like, well, this retrograde is going to be different. And it was. It was a really amazing, wonderful retrograde. However, with Mercury retrograde, there's pre-retrograde, retrograde, and post-retrograde. And I went out of town to Houston during post-retrograde. And I want to say it was the very last day of post-retrograde or the day before. And my friend and I went in to get tattoos. And that was a no-no. Apparently, even post-retrograde, you're not safe if you're getting tattoos. So anyways, I ended up getting a very botched tattoo. And with the botched tattoo, it was supposed to be, for lack of a better word, I'm going to call it a cover-up, but really it's more like an integration piece. And it was behind my ear, and it was the zodiac signs or astrological signs of the people that mattered the most to me at that time in my life when I had gotten the tattoo, which during that time I was like, I think like 18 or 19 years old, and I was going through a lot of really rough transits and shifts in my life at that time. So yeah, the signs of these people were all people that were friends turned family, and I had always said that it was better to get the signs than the names of people because signs are easier to remove if need be. My soul must have known what was going to happen. So anyways, I wanted to get a tattoo over it showing the integration of karmic cycles and karmic ties coming to a close and endings and beginnings and all of that. I feel like I feel and I know that I just completed a very large cycle. And so with the tattoo, I had wanted to get an owl feather and an eagle feather because the owl and the eagle are both power animals that have been working with me quite a bit the last probably 6 months of my journey, and it just felt appropriate to I guess record those animals on my body, on my canvas, for my sake. And the placement, I figured that it was by the throat chakra, so expression, and then by the brow chakra, which is like inner sight, inner knowing. It would be like right in between because the ear's right there. And then behind the ears, we have our past life chakras. And I've been doing past life clearing here and there, or at least connecting the dots with past lives and integrating. So anyways, I went in for the tattoo and I told the guy what I wanted, and I learned a very valuable lesson. So I'll probably do a video on this in another video, but I learned the importance of energy boundaries while on vacation. Normally I'm really good about shielding my energy and keeping others' energies off of me because I have a very porous aura, which many people that are highly sensitive or empathic have. And I've been shielding my aura very strongly for like the last year now, and it's been very transformative and life-changing. Anywho, being on vacation and just not being in my normal element, I got lazy and I did not shield my energy, which made me absorb other people's energy. And so when I got to the tattoo shop, the guy was very, very scattered and very, very ADD, and he smelled like pot, so maybe he was high. But being in disempowered empath mode and not having my energy shielded, right away I just absorbed all his energy, and I immediately became very scattered and very ADD. And I didn't feel confident enough to express that I wasn't comfortable with this artist working on me after a while. I became kind of uncomfortable after giving him benefit of the doubt and working past the scattered energy when he started putting the stencil on my neck, and he did it 4 times, and it took forever. And honestly, I was not exercising my throat chakra because I was not protecting my energy, and I was not intending to have a tattoo on my neck. It was supposed to be up here in the hairline. So this is why energy boundaries are so important, because you'll settle for things that you normally wouldn't settle for. So that's my bad. But anyways, I really do love how the piece is now, but big learning lesson on boundaries in post-retrograde. So anyways, he took forever to do the stencil, and then he had me in like a pose where my neck was like hyperextended for like almost 5 hours. And those of you that know me know that I've been recovering from a whiplash injury, which it's gotten a lot better, but that tattoo session totally aggravated that neck injury like crazy. I had to take like 2 days out after getting back from Houston to kind of recover my neck and body from the shock and trauma of that tattoo session. And that shock and trauma could have all been easily avoided had I shielded my energy and followed my own advice. Which that's the point of Mercury Retrograde, is to teach you lessons and bring things to light for you. So I saw the lesson as very useful. And I was freaking out and really upset the next day when I realized that he had left out a letter from the wording and had gotten one of the letters wrong. I was like, oh my god. So yeah, that was not fun. And then I think I had a little bit of PTSD from how stressful the session was, because it went on forever, and then I didn't want to finish the session early because he had already started it, and I figured it was best if the tattoo was started and finished than not started and finished, and I didn't know what it was going to look like at the end. However, the zodiac signs and astrology signs were still there. You could still see them. Everything was very, very faint, and I don't know why he kept going over a certain part on my neck over and over and over with white ink. But yeah, so the tattoo, it like didn't even look like it had been worked on for 5 or 6 hours, but it definitely felt like it, and it was a nightmare. And so when I got back to Albuquerque, I was like, well, I guess I'll have to ask somebody here to fix it, but I was really embarrassed. Also, I didn't want to go to any of the shops here because I know a lot of the artists know each other, and I was worried somebody would recognize me and tell my ex that I had gotten a misspelled tattoo. That was definitely like an ego concern, and something that I'm still healing from, is that very damaging relationship. So that was nice too, because another Mercury retrograde lesson brought up for me. And then I texted my really close friend that's like a brother from another mother, Gibbs, back home in El Paso, which is 4 hours from Albuquerque, and I told him what happened, and he immediately offered to fix the tattoo for me if I could just wait. So I had to pick a date that was about a month after I got the tattoo and wait it out. And meanwhile, as I was waiting, I thought it was really interesting that in the very first week of getting the tattoo, I had the astrology signs of Libra, Aquarius, Taurus, Cancer, and Scorpio behind my neck. And that very first week of starting the tattoo to integrate the closing of karmic ties and stuff, it was so fascinating, because the universe was like, all right, you want to put this message in the universe? Let the universe like deliver the manifestation of the closing of all these cycles, right? So then my Libra, she died unexpectedly. And we had been out of touch for a while. I had to put up energy boundaries with us, which was difficult. And so it was difficult not being able to say goodbye to her because it was so unexpected. And then along with her physical death, then it was really interesting because my friendships with two other friends came to an end. They are alive, but they were just friendships that were not serving my highest good or their highest goods any longer, and it needed to be done. So a lot of stressful words were said, and ego stuff came out, and a lot of regrouping and grounding and stuff had to be done to kind of get back on steady ground. But those two friends, one was a Cancer and one was a Taurus, so 3 out of the 5 signs automatically just snuffed out of my life within the first week of deciding that it was time to integrate the changes of karmic ties and cycles closing out. So I thought it was very interesting and fascinating, and I'm definitely grateful to have the awareness that I have to see the symbolism in all of this. So then once that settled down, took about 2 weeks to kind of settle down all those energies, then I drove back home, back to my roots to go ahead and fix this tattoo. And another meaning that was going into this tattoo was the wording is Aramaic, and it's the opening words to the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic. And I wanted those words to symbolize my reconnecting with Source and my ability to express and be connected with Source again, because I feel like I had been disconnected for a very long time, and working through religious programming kind of left me in a limbo where I wasn't sure if it was safe to connect with God or not safe to connect with God, or what I really believed or didn't believe. Kind of had to find myself, and so I wanted this to symbolize the rediscovering of myself in this new timeline that I'm living in. And then in like symbolism with animals and like bird medicine, eagles and owls are both birds, and feathers symbolize connection of like earth to the skies, or people to Father Sky. And I felt like getting the Aramaic, which Aramaic is a very high vibrational language. English is not. English is very low vibe, but Aramaic is very high vibe. I figured with this high vibration language, and then with these beautiful power animals supporting me in my journey, and the covering of the karmic ties, that it was a beautiful way of my way of expressing my reconnection with my Source and expressing myself as Source love, and showing Source the gratitude that I have for everything in my life, the good and the bad and the in-between. So yeah, it was just really interesting, because then it's like I went and started this tattoo in Houston, which I'm not from, and finished it in El Paso, which is where I'm from, which is where I originated and came into this world in this incarnation. And then someone that I think of as like Soul Tribe was the one who finished the peace and the integration and all of that on my body. So yeah, it was just a very valuable lesson. Don't get tattoos during post-retrograde, and if you do, things can always be fixed, and there's always a lesson in everything. And when you create intentions and you're sincere about them, the universe will manifest those very rapidly for you, as the universe did for me with all these friendships. And it's interesting because all these friendships are very root chakra oriented friendships. And yeah, like there was a lot of grieving with them, and I'm sure there's still going to be future grieving as I integrate, and that's okay. And I have this great story to reflect on about that time in my life. And yeah, it was interesting too, because the beginning of this tattoo was the last few days of post-retrograde, and then go figure, it was done during very high activity Lionsgate portal energy. And for my Lionsgate experience this year, it was very root chakra heavy and very throat chakra heavy, which was just really interesting because, yeah, I mean, root chakra and throat chakra, all my issues began back in El Paso, and seems like they all came into a close in El Paso this year, which is pretty cool. And then going into the mind-body connection, I had done a video on the teeth and the gums bleeding from lack of asserting yourself. And it was really interesting because my gums were doing pretty good after that video. And then when I went in and got that botched up tattoo, my gums started bleeding again, and I was trying to figure it out. And I was journaling in my mind body journal, and I realized that I had not asserted myself at all in the tattoo. Like, I wasn't okay with it being here, but I didn't say anything, and I didn't assert that I wanted it up here. I didn't assert that I was uncomfortable with how many times he had to redo the stencil, or that my neck was uncomfortable. I was just totally in, I don't know, people pleasing mode, I guess, because I didn't have my boundaries up. And then, yeah, shows where I have plenty of room to work and grow. And it was just a very, very valuable lesson, what happened with this tattoo. But it was interesting because it also gave me a lesson into the mind-body connection with the teeth. And then I think one part of the gums that was sensitive had something to do with like masculine energies, which I got this on the masculine side of my body to show the softening of my masculine energies and the de-armoring, because my masculine energies have been very armored for most of my life. And so, yeah, it's just interesting to connect all the dots. And I thought this was a good story to share with others to make you more aware of the importance of energy boundaries and planetary transits and the lessons that can be found in these transits. Which, oh yeah, when I went back to El Paso to fix my tattoo, there was the Lionsgate energy going on, but there also is the Chiron and retrograde energy going on, which my Chiron is in Cancer, which is the wound of family abandonment. And it's just so interesting because these people were my friends turned family, and pretty much, yeah, like they did abandon me in my adult life. My biological family abandoned me in most of my life, my childhood life into adult life. My mom helps me a lot, but the rest of them not so much. So it was just interesting that the wound of family abandonment came up with this piece as well, and that the Chiron energies were still present when I went back home and with this tattoo, and it shows the connection of the transits and all that. So anywho, I hope this helps you and made you chuckle or go OMG, because it's an OMG story. And yeah, hopefully when I do a video on energy boundaries, you'll tune into that, because they are very important, and I know firsthand how they can be very important. So that is all. Thank you for listening. Aho, namaste.